Spincast Cycling Show. Brian Kellison, Casey Shum, Brian
Ooh.
White. Audio only tonight, not on a boat, just audio only. And Lee is on the road. He's coming home from a weekend vacation with the family. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the United States and all the other places that celebrate it, because I guess in the UK they don't celebrate it in May.
Really?
Yeah, I think I was seeing Holly was like, did we celebrate ours in like April or whenever they change the clocks?
Oh, sorry. She said it was clock change day.
Yeah, clock change. So that's easy to remember that. But yeah, the 50% of the show is on. Brian will jump in and out. He's kind of doing stuff in the background, but he said he would jump back in. But we should get into what we were doing this last week. We were just talking off stream. I did Zwift, and then I did a ride outside. I did a group ride here in the area with real people outside. And I'll touch on the group riding first, and then we can get into the Zwift stuff. But it was fun to ride outside, one, and I forgot how strong I can be, because I think that I'm not strong, and I'm riding with, people that are not as strong, but I was doing majority of the poles through this group, and it was like a big 40-mile loop, so like, 56 or so miles? 56 kilometers, whatever. No, it was like 65 kilometers. But it was rolling, because in my area, north of my area here, it's more rolling. And I just had in my mind a couple inclines of like the Rouvy, what was that course we did? That New England course. That was part of this challenge. You remember what it was?
There's an East Coast challenge, but I don't remember what the name of the routes were. But they're all Massachusetts East Coast rides.
It was really similar in that sort of gauging my effort. So I was using what I normally use outside, not to drop people, right? Because I could go hard and then do an effort and drop people. And if I go hard and I was telling them, like, I'm not going to, it's like a no drop. So we would regroup at different parts. But I was also with people that I hadn't ridden with before. And so I wasn't just going to be this guy who's smashing and just dropping everybody, and then I'm riding by myself. I then would go back and pick them up, and then we would finish. But the way that it sort of had the same elevation and resistance like Rouvy, that's why I was thinking of the Rouvy in my head, like, this is more similar. I think we've talked about this before, Casey, about how it's got this sort of like real physics feel. It's more simulation.
Yeah, especially if you get into those rollers, right, where it's the 30, to me anyway, it felt like if you see that little bump that's, maybe 30, 45 seconds, like off of a flat, where it felt so real to an outdoor effort, where if you just, if you go from, for us, if you go from 225 watts up to 350 for that 30 or 45 seconds, you just kind of hop up over that. And it feels so real on Rouvy. Like when you go outside, it kind of correlates to that. It's interesting.
Well, the one thing is I wasn't looking at my, because I didn't know the route, so I had it on my map on my Garmin. And I was like, oh, because they were yelling out me at like, hey, we're gonna turn left here at the stop sign. Otherwise, I would have blown through stuff, and so I was just gauging it based on feel, which is kind of fun to just ride and gauge it on feel. Which is sometimes when we can turn off stuff on these indoor apps, it's nice to be able to kind of just race and ride by feel.
Yeah, interesting. I'm in my camper right now. You can kind of see in the background, and then when I was loading stuff up to come down here, I ended up just throwing the fat bike in the truck, so I don't have power meter or anything. And I'm like, you know what? If I want to go ride, it's not going to be fast, but I can still get an effort in. I'm not going to have a power meter, and that's okay. I didn't even grab my head unit. I'm like, I got my watch. I can record it on my watch and get heart rate. So, I was like, just keep it simple, which it was interesting. You said that. I had to go check what I did this week to remind myself, and I had forgot. I went outside Monday, which is really out of the ordinary for me. I did 30 miles solo Monday night outside. I even had to put new tubes in my tires because I had latex tubes in the road bike. I don't think the road bike, it might have been ridden once last year on roads. And I loved it. Like it's just what I needed. it was actually kind of funny. I went out solo and was doing just normal roads that I know nearby home. And one of the roads I was riding on, nice shoulder, but it's right along where all the gravel is that I would go out and ride. And coming off of one of those gravel roads, just ahead of me, a bike pulled out ahead of me, like 2 telephone pole lengths up the road, turning into a headwind. And I was like, oh, let's see who this is. So I just kind of, I looked down and I kind of set the effort at like 300, 325, and I'm pushing not a big headwind, but 5, 10 mile an hour wind. So going about 20, 21 miles an hour, like everything I got.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing this for like a mile, mile and a half, and I crest this little kind of false flat. And I'm like, dang, he's pulling away from me. And I'm like, maybe I just didn't see him. And I'm like, no, he pulled off the gravel road. So I'm on a skinny tire road bike. I know he's got to be on a gravel bike because he pulled off of a gravel road. And he's walking away from me into this headwind. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And in my head, I'm like, this guy, I have to know him if he's that strong or he's got an assist. Like, it's one
Oh,
or the
yeah,
other.
yeah.
And about 3 miles later, we turn into this small town, just one of these little like 10 block towns that all they have is four-way stops. And he's politely going through the four-way stops, and I'm looking both ways and blowing through him at 25 mile an hour
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I'm catching this dude. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, which actually first time I met the guy, we live like just far enough away from one another. He's kind of does his riding based out of the next town over, the next
Mm-hmm.
bigger city over. I do mine out of Peoria. He kind of does his out of Bloomington. He actually runs some charity rides and stuff. So him and I rode along and talked for like 5 miles or so. But he was on an electric assist specialized gravel bike, and he was going to Yosemite later this year. So he was getting that bike out and getting it ready. This was
Right.
like a new thing for him. He's normally a road rider. And I was actually talking to him about, so him and I actually became Facebook friends because I want to know how Yosemite is because I've been riding Yosemite on Roofy.
Right.
And I was like, I'm jealous.
Yosemite or
Like,
Yellowstone?
or I'm sorry, Yellowstone.
Yeah, yeah.
No, he's going
Yeah.
to Yosemite. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that's
I've been
Yellowstone.
riding
Yellowstone is in
Different.
Wyoming or Montana.
Yeah.
No, it's Wyoming.
It's all that same.
And
They're probably
well,
thousands of miles apart.
they're a little bit far apart. The other one's in California. It's right near me. That's why I was like, oh, he's
Okay.
coming all the way out to Yosemite. So, but yeah, no. There's probably Yosemite rides, but did the e-assist? Does he normally ride the e-assist?
Oh yeah, he chuckled when I pulled up alongside him, and I was like, okay, you either had to be someone I would know could like super, super strong, or you had assist. He's like, oh yeah, he said, I had her cranked up going into the headwind. And I was like, okay. And we kind of laughed about it. Like there's some people that get really bent out of shape about the whole assist thing. Like this
Yeah,
guy
I
was
know.
fine without an assist. He was a pretty fit guy. I would guess him maybe 5, 10 years older than me. But I'm all for it if it gets you out and you're having fun. So,
Absolutely.
but it was awesome. Yeah.
There's a for the team. I'm on Penvelo, and the team, the guy who created the club, he's like in his 80s. He's on like a Trek e-bike, and he can do the group ride still. And he goes and he gets the assistant going up there's like we have a little incline or like a little false flat, but it's an incline, right? But not like a climb. And he goes, and some people get mad that he's like going off the front, and it's like, no, go and try to chase him to then, get more training in, because it's a fun group ride that we do. And so that's the thing. You're either into it or you just gotta relax. You gotta have fun. But the YouTube stuff, not the YouTube, sorry, the Zwift stuff that I was doing during the week is, I just opened it up because I had signed up for the month. I started my whatever monthly payment again, and then I got an email that I got a free month. So somebody is trying to blacklist me back into using it. So they're like, "Hey, we'll keep using it, so we'll have to do it." But I did I was doing races, and the races are so few and far between. I had to do one that was like 5-6 people. And I was locked into a certain points system. I couldn't go down below where there was more people, and I couldn't go up because I could have gone up, but there was 0 people in like the top available points thing. So it's like I feel like this is fighting against us. So I don't know if I brought this up last week. is this scoring system working now? Because you guys were like all on board. Is it working? Because we're giving it time. How long? It's been a year, maybe not even a year, or what?
It's not. It's actually not been as long as you think. I think it was October that it rolled out publicly for most races. Uh, I still believe in the concept, but I believe the implementation and the categories. There's issues. It needs some work. But they seem to kind of just let it go stagnant, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't seem to be tweaking it much
It
anymore.
seems like
So,
it's good. It's like good in, like you said, good in concept, but the events that have more people in them are not racing score events. Am I correct with that? Those are just like, hey, stage
Yeah.
one of the ride with the women, what is it? The whatever, it's aligning with some pro race or something like that, right? Or some
yeah,
tour
the
of
tour
Watopia.
of
The tour of
something
which is not a racing score thing, right? It's just like choose what you want to do. It's mostly, those are like distance, right?
Yeah.
those are
Brian's here. Okay.
Yeah, they're courses. I mean, they're similar to races, and honestly, they're the best races you'll find right now because you'll naturally kind of find a pack. You know, a lot of us can hold on to the front pack as long as the course isn't too tough. Um, the couple things they changed with the categories that has made it tougher, and I've seen some feedback on this, and I thought this was going to be a good move, but I think it might have caused more harm than good. They're preventing you from joining up classes now either. So, and the reason for that was like I was bumping up into that top category, and I'd be mad because I'm like, okay, 18 of us started in the top category. I finished ninth, but I was the last guy actually trying to race.
Right.
People behind me had a race score of 300, but because ninth was still 50% of the field,
Yeah.
I was gaining points even though I was the last place finisher who actually raced, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
And I actually talked to James Bailey about it privately. I like messaged him and I was like, hey, him and I have had a little bit of dialogue on Facebook about this. And I was like, I'm struggling with this, right? Like if you actually look at this from a human perspective, I was the last place racer and you've got all these other people that are just joining to join an event. And I think that's probably the biggest struggle Zwift has right now is all of these concepts work great if everyone is joining a race to race. But I don't think Zwift has all these people joining to truly race. They're joining to get a workout, they're joining to get a hard efforts, which is great. But a lot of people aren't joining to get the best finish possible, which is what racing is.
Is it the racing score is too serious for casual racing?
Well, I don't think it's too serious. No, I've had a hard time with it because like I have no one to race against because like I'll join a race with 3 people, 4 people, 2 do zone 2, or the second a small gap gets there, they just drop off or leave the event. And granted, it is kind of getting nice out across most the population of the world, so people may not be inside that often, but it's very difficult to find, not just when I ride, normally in years past, within, say, half hour of when I was going to ride, I could find an event. Now, it might be 2-3 hours before I have an advanced event I can join.
You mean, when you say event, you mean race?
I'm sorry, yes, a race.
Yeah,
yes,
because there are events,
race,
like when I couldn't find a race, I don't know, this was maybe Monday or Tuesday, I just did a group ride. And that was like 60 minutes. And it's like, no, I know it's super sorry, but it's like, those are populated. And then those people, then people take those too seriously, and they shouldn't because it's just a group ride, you know?
Yeah. But like going on what Casey said, the tour of whatever Zwift comes up with, those mass start things are fan-freaking-tastic. Everyone's in them. And it doesn't matter if you're Aunt Bev, you're me, Casey, Brian, or anyone in chat, anyone. You're going to find who you're going to... Now, I may be doing my Zone 2 ride, and I may have someone hanging on for dear life, breathing out their ears, but I am doing what I want to in that ride, and they are doing what they want to. They're getting they're getting their
Yeah, but
desired
isn't that a
goal out of that race.
disservice? Isn't that a disservice to the, what is it? The not the culture,
The
the
spirit of the group ride.
Sorry, no, not the spirit of a group ride, and the spirit of the event, like the.
No, not
those-
not the way I see it.
Okay, well, I can understand like a
Doesn't seem
group
to
ride
cause
like this,
problems, so.
but so you're doing like if this is a throwaway where other people are taking it seriously to improve their race score, but it's not race score.
Wait, yeah, no, the
not race
tour
scores.
of whatever.
Oh,
not
this
race
is
score.
this is just a fun. Okay, I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Okay.
This is a mass start, no race score. Just get out and go.
This is
do your
the
best.
social ride. This is the Zwift patented. Hey, we're a social network. Come do a social ride so you can ride with people instead of riding with a bot. You can do that.
And I think what I'm finding with doing other platforms is I think this is the commonality that makes those group rides on Zwift. They're not races, right? Those group rides on Zwift be a little bit better from a feel and a race feel and that, like Brian's saying, because I think part of it is everybody who joins that doesn't have an expectation of a rule or a category or how competitive they should be, right? You go into that with there are no rules, there are no categories. You're not guaranteed to be able to be on the podium. And I think that's why a lot of the other platforms that don't have categories in racing have a little less drama in the racing, because I can't join a race and say the category is bad because realistically I should be able to podium an EB race, right? Like that's what I go into the Zwift mindset to say, if I get dropped in a race that's within my category, the categories are broken. Where if I go into Ruby and I get dropped in a race, it's because they're better than me. It's not because there's something broken in the game. And I think that's where the Zwift group rides get to be a little more fun, is unless you're an A+ category rider, you expect to be challenged. You expect to maybe get dropped. I did a mass start race about a week ago. It's been about a week and a half ago, and it had it had A+ riders in it, and I held on for 3/4 of the flat section of that race, and like it was okay that I got dropped. I think when you looked at the results when we were all done, 1B held on to the end, but he had like a huge power upgrade. Like his floor increased a bunch due to the power that he did. But like those were fun. But I can't find good Zwift races. I don't even look for them much anymore because I've had such bad luck finding them lately.
Yeah.
So I've been, and the other side of that is I'll look to Ruby first, and I've been having good luck. The Ruby has these challenges, right? Where there's 3 or 4 challenges going on at once. Most of those challenges are about doing courses or routes, and they're doing a pretty good time of holding races on the routes that are in the challenges. So if I can find a race that is also a route in one of my challenges that I haven't completed, right? There's like, well, that's what I'm doing. There's 10 people in this race. It's a route that I have to do to complete the challenge, right? I'm checking all the boxes at once, which is why I did a stupid 2-hour ride yesterday with 5,100 feet of climbing. But it was the second hardest route that I had to do on this climbing challenge.
Yeah.
So,
which is different than what My Whoosh does, and that'll lead into this My Whoosh stuff. But you're doing something. You're kind of in-game double dipping in a sense of like, I'm going to do an event, but it's a route that I need for this challenge. Where when you do My Whoosh, if I remember correctly, you don't get credit towards a route complete if you do a race that you haven't, or on a course you haven't done.
That's correct. In order to get credit for a route in My Whoosh, it has to be free ride only.
Free ride only, yeah.
Now distance and climbing and stuff like that any of that works. It's just if you want the route badge, it has to be done in a free ride. You can't, no workout, no group ride, no race, nothing. It's only free ride. And it says that. Like if you go to click on it, like, I shouldn't say that. If you go look at the achievements, it says in free ride. Like it says that there.
Okay.
So
that's part of the words. Okay.
Yeah. Now you may not realize that till you've already done a couple. Then you go check. And you're like, oh shoot.
I did 2 days of Ruby doing challenges and didn't get any credit because I didn't know. So Ruby's rules are, It can be free ride, it can be time trial, or in a race, but it must be 100%. What is it?
Yeah, you
100%
cannot join
realism.
late. Yeah.
Their trainer
Oh, trainer
difficulty. No, it's their
difficulty.
trainer difficulty. Has to be
Oh,
100%.
okay.
Now it'll work. Like I can double dip and I can race on Zwift and just pair a power meter to Ruby and get credit, but I can't pair my kicker and set it at 50%. If I pair a power meter, if I don't have a controllable in Ruby, that
Oh,
it's
you
still
found the
technically
workaround. Yeah.
yeah, it'll work. So I can double dip, like race on Zwift and get a route done on Ruby at the same time, but you can't do group rides. That's the one that, like they call it, you can't do group rides and you can't turn down your trainer difficulty. And I think the reason they do the group rides is Ruby's group rides keep together is a lot different, and I think they do a lot of keep together group rides. I don't know. I haven't done them, but my understanding is their group rides aren't a rubber band. It is, if you drop behind the leader, it tells you get a power boost, and if you go in front of the leader, it takes power away from you.
Right.
So
right,
it'll
okay.
tell you like plus 20 watts, minus 20 watts kind of thing. So if you could get a very inflated pace from the power you
Yeah,
get,
but
I
you
guess.
technically still did the distance, right? Or no?
Well,
Is it
Ruby's not
skewed?
about making the challenges easy.
No, I
So
understand that. I understand that.
yeah, yeah. So I appreciate the way Ruby's done them because they're truly a grind. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot to get through some of these challenges. So and now I'm on the other side with you, BK. I got the email last night at 7 p.m. I am no longer a paying subscriber to Swift.
Oh, wow.
I've not paid. I'm sure I will. I just
You're
the next
free.
time I
You're a
need to
free
get on it,
agent.
I will.
You're a
Yeah,
free
but
agent. Yeah.
right now Ruvy's the only paid subscription I hold.
So one more Ruby story, or not Ruby, Zwift story before we, because we want to talk about now that Brian's back, audio only. My Whoosh sort of update that's coming, their teaser they did, was friend of the show, TJ Dickey, Lumophile, in the streaming world. He actually did 51 days. From what I read from wherever he posted, he did 51 days of Mont Ventoux or the Ventop or whatever it was to get the elevation, to do it the legit way without teleporting. I might be incorrect in what his course was or how his strategy for doing it, but he was one that got the first, at least the only, like, not skirting the spirit of Zwift's community rules, of getting one of those full bike upgrades, and it's called the Halo bike, right? I still don't totally understand the thing. So congratulations to him, but that's 51 days. You guys said it was going to take like 6 months.
Have you seen how much Lumo rides? Like,
yeah, I know, but
he's 3-4 hours a day.
Yeah, I know he's 3-4 hours a day and a lot of elevation.
and an A plus FTP. Yeah,
totally. He's legit doing a lot. I understand that. He's like doing a ton, but 51 days seems fast. Not for him, not taking credit from him, but do you guys think your estimate for like 6 months or whatever it was is a little too high, and maybe it's going to be like you're going to start to see more of the my question is, are we going to start to see more of these Halo bikes and more people be like, okay, this is sort of the norm, and then now everyone's got it, and so it's not really blowing people away in races because it's not that big of a bike upgrade?
I would say you got to get like, I still think if you get it before 5 or 6 months, you've put in some pretty hardcore efforts. So I just fully upgraded the SL8 tarmac.
So you're on the specialized track of the
So
the S Works or the specialized. I don't know if there's any different ones, but
there's not. They're all specialized branded. So I'm on the specialized track. So yesterday I finished the tarmac and I started up the Alp with the Ethos because I can unlock the Ethos going up the Alp, and when I turn around and come down, I put the Crux on, which is the cyclocross bike. So
gotcha.
Now I'm working on the next 2 specialized when I get all of those done. So it's taken me, and I still ride more than most, or more than average
Mhm.
Zwifter, I would assume. So in 51 days, I've gotten a third of the way to a Halo bike, just to put things in perspective. To what
Okay.
Lumo has done 3 times what I've done, because I've done the math on the roughly what it takes to climb, what it takes to do time, what it takes to do miles, and they're all about the same relative effort to unlock each bike. Um,
Okay.
for someone of my
And you're
power.
strategically like, okay, I'm going to do this, or do you and you chose one bike, or I'm going to do this one all the way through, or are you spreading it across different events and doing different things?
Pretty much what I'm doing is no matter what I'm doing, I'm also paired to Zwift. Usually riding on flat ground with the SL8 just because it's a mileage based upgrade.
Okay.
Now I'm going to be on the Ethos, so I'm going to climb the Alp. Every time I do, I'm going to do Road to the Sky. I'm going to put on the Ethos. I'm going to go up the Alp, and when I get to the top, I'm going to stop and swap bikes. Or when my ride is over on Ruvi, if I'm not to the top of the Alp, I'll switch bikes on Zwift, do a U-turn, and descend on the Crux and get my, 8 or 9 free miles. I'm not teleporting back up the mountain to get extra miles, right? I climbed,
Yeah,
so I
you're
get
just.
to do the descent.
I
So
gotcha.
that's all I'm doing now, just to chip away at the Athos and the Crux. I don't know how long I'll keep grinding those two, but I figured the SL8's the logical thing for me because I like to race. It's clearly the best bike in game by far.
Yeah, I
Um,
was doing those races, and everyone had the S Works, the
yeah,
white, the whatever it is. So they're either
The
trying to build their upgrade, or they've already gotten to the point where it's like a benefit. So is it a big benefit? Is that why I'm getting dropped, or is I'm just not fit?
yes, it
I
is a
I
big benefit.
yeah, I don't. I have the Trek Madone level 5. I got it earlier this week, and I I forget what day of the week it was, but I did an hour at 290 watts, which is 3.6 watts per kilogram, with the Genie group, and that entire hour, I was having to hit the brake to slow down because I was dropping the group. Like on the flat coming across Tempest, I had a gap of 10 meters or something almost constantly. Now, she's holding, or he, or whatever Genie is holding 3.8 watts per kilogram. Now, the group behind them, they're not. But as a group, you'd figure they would be moving faster. And at 3.6 watts per kilogram, 290 watts in erg mode, like I'm locked in. I was sitting at the front and had to probably 4 or 5 times hit the brakes to slow down to let the group up. So I think the bike upgrades might actually make a pretty big difference. Now, ultimately, here in 8 months to a year, once people get the miles in, it'll be neutralized again. But yeah, I think right now that they are a big advantage, especially this first ZRL season. If they don't neutralize them, if they allow us to use our upgraded bikes, I think it's going to be a pretty significant advantage per se.
You really think they
So
wouldn't allow people to use it in the racing?
They
they did
neutralized
this
it for
last
the
season.
finals. Yeah,
Yeah.
they neutralized it for our finals 2 weeks
Why?
ago.
Why?
Oh.
By the way, I've got a jersey that Brian White doesn't
Uh,
have.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hot off the presses.
Yeah. I was.
So if you look at the times, and I'm doing this from memory, but I believe like the difference between like the basic Swift road bike and like the SL8, the timing gap on those in testing, those two are closer in performance than a non-upgraded versus an upgraded SL8, right? Like your bike upgrade is worth more than the better bikes in the game. Like if you're
Yeah.
if you're a if you're
Wait
a
a minute.
level
Hold
one,
on. You got to clarify that for me. Hold on a second. You're
so
saying
if you're
if you do the upgrade on the basic Zwift bike, it's almost as fast as the stock specialized
no,
SL8. No?
what I'm saying is if you're a 0 mile rider, you have no points, you have no upgrades, the basic road bike that you can ride day one,
Mm-hmm.
that the difference between that bike and the fastest road bike like the SL8, the gap between in performance between those two is less than the gap in performance between an SL8 unupdated and an SL8 fully upgraded.
Oh, okay. I
Right.
understand. I
Right.
understand.
The gain you get from upgrading a bike is larger than the gain you get from earning points and buying better bikes.
Right.
Mhm.
It was something like I want to say it's something like a minute and a half over an hour, a minute to a
It's
minute
a
and a
big
half.
chunk of change.
Yeah. Yeah, like we're talking like if you're doing a 40K time trial, you're talking about a 1 minute advantage
I'll try
on
to
that
find it.
upgraded
Oh
bike.
man, I would. Oh, see, that's the thing is people are manipulating the system to get the bikes. So I'm thinking like if you put the work in like Lumo has done and what you're doing, and I don't know what Brian's probably skirting the spirit of the game, but I'm just joking. That was a joke.
Did the shit out of it. Yeah.
The stress level added to the races for somebody who hasn't put the work in to get the bike would be huge. I think that would be great if there wasn't people skirting the spirit of the thing just to get the faster bike, so that then it creates parity, right? But it's like, man, if you're like, hey, you gotta ride more to get the upgrade because it's so much more an advantage for us as a team or as a single rider or whatever. Man, that makes it, and that's the thing where it's like the most populated race is the ZRL, Zwift Racing League, right? And you're not using the thing that's probably, and I remember talking to Lumo during his one of his streams, and he was like, I'm all in on trying to do the upgrades. Like that's his thing. He's really driven by it, and that's sort of like his fun. His fun is that, right? We're taking that away from the fun competition, which isn't really, it's rec league. Like the Zwift Racing League is rec league. And if guys have like the corked bats and they're just ripping it, that's not fun. But if they're like, hey, I go and work out because I want to tear up the rec league, then you should reward that. The people are like, I'm doing weights and I'm doing cross training before and after work or whatever it is to swing the bat so I can win for my beer league. I think we should reward that, but obviously the powers that be don't see that. So.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed if they end up not. If there's no real like racing leagues or anything that allow you to use the upgraded bikes or get the upgrades, then I think that'd be a shame.
It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and we don't know there's all this speculation with ZRL. ZRL was still using old categories. ZRL's done for the year. So what's next season going to bring for that?
Yeah.
What are they going to do different? Maybe they completely rework the whole thing, right? So bring your bike upgrades, throw out the categories, make it a ladder system. I don't know. You using Zwift Racing Score? Who knows? Maybe they don't change anything. Maybe they're happy with it.
I've found the SL8 specific times.
Yep.
According to Zwift Insider here, there is a 60-second difference between level 1, like your starter bike, and the SL8. 60 seconds. Now the upgrades, let's see here. A full upgrade is, it's 28 seconds faster on the flat. So the upgrade adds basically 30 seconds in an hour.
Okay.
So
It's not as big as I thought.
if you're a upgraded SL8 versus a day one rider, you're a minute and a half faster.
Wow.
And there's something else in here too about 48 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a climb. So it's 48 seconds up I'm guessing the Alp.
Okay.
It don't really say. It just says it's 48 seconds off of our baseline Zwift carbon time on an hour-long climb. So maybe they did Monto.
And then the Athos is ridiculous on its upgrade. So because it gets even more, it's a climbing bike, so its upgrades are more leaning toward better climbing versus better aero, like the SL8. So the Athos becomes the best climbing bike once you upgrade it, but it's not the best climbing bike at its base level. So like your Alp speed increase with that one getting upgraded is pretty significant. Like you're looking at over a minute gained on your climb on that one. So I don't know. I think it's good. We'll see what Zwift does with it. Like somebody said, though, clearly they've had how many upgrades since all the scandals started and nothing's changed. Zwift hasn't addressed it. So we've got to assume that it is what it is, right? That
Yeah.
the upgrades are
Yeah.
out there. They're not going to deal with the chronic teleporting. They did deal with the time hack and they've solved that. So I think it is what it is.
Yeah, I did two Vante ascents on Tuesday, and I will say I was probably the only guy over 30 kilometers that was actually riding up and, well, I rode up it twice, but I was probably the only guy that did that because there were several long rides and several little bundles of dots coming down the mountain. Which in one aspect, we're at the point now to where we have no idea who achieved it the right way. Well, I guess in quotations the right way versus just getting it. At this point, it doesn't matter because if you are a serious rider like Lumo, you're going to get it quicker than anyone anyway. You're going to get there. So,
Yeah, by the start of next season, it's not an issue because a lot of the avid Zwifters have done enough distance to get them anyway, right? So
right.
by the time things get revved back up, September,
But that's-
October, a lot of the people are going to be there anyway.
But that's assuming that they've started on the specialized one. Like
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah,
Like I ride to Cannondale because that's what I have in real life. So I'm just riding to Cannondale and I get the little prompts here and there. And I don't think I even pay. So you get the ability to pay for the upgrade. Like I haven't even done it. So is that what it is? Is like it tells
Once
you
it's unlocked, you have to
you're
spend
unlocked.
drops. Yeah.
Then you spend drops. So you could just I might just ride. I don't even know how long I'm keeping Zwift, but I just ride and unlock everything, and then I don't spend my money. Right?
It doesn't start. You don't start earning for upgrade 2 until you pay for upgrade 1. So
Yeah.
you can unlock. You
Oh,
can
really?
unlock up.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you can unlock upgrade 1 on 10
everything.
bikes,
Okay.
but you can't start earning toward upgrade 2 on any of those bikes until you pay the drops on
I
upgrade.
made that
Oh, so that's
mistake.
So that's the incentive to pay to then.
Yeah.
If I keep riding this Cannondale, I should keep riding, keep going. Yeah. Okay.
What's interesting though is the Halo bikes are just odd bikes. They're really not that good for anything much. Most of them are pretty fast, like borderline fastest on the flat, but most of them are like based like tungsten based. Like they're stupid heavy. They don't climb for crap. Like
So you don't even
they're
want to spend
really
the money
not
on the
that
Halo.
good.
Yeah. It's
No, I
more a
mean
status
they
thing.
look, yeah, they look different. I think they'd be okay on a flat race. I think one of them's a time trial bike that would be okay on a flat time trial. Like okay by like it would be pretty fast, right? It'd be
Mhm.
equivalent to some of your fastest bikes. The upgraded Tron might be pretty stupid fast once you get
That's
there.
what I'm going to work on now. I'm going to go to the Tron route. I was going to do the specialized, that part, but then I was like, you know what? Everyone seems to be doing that. I'm going to go for the
But
Tron.
you can't upgrade the Tron until you unlock
Right.
the Halo
Yeah.
bikes, right?
I'm starting with the Amp Bev, whatever, level 3 bike, whatever the heck it is. I forgot to change it today, so I lost, I think it was 60 kilometers or something. But
So what do you have to do before you upgrade a Halo bike? Do you know? off
you
the top of your
have
head?
to do
Sorry.
3 brand bikes. So like with Zwift for the Tron bike, you have to obviously have the Tron to begin with. So it's an extra step if you don't have the Tron. You got to do level 3 full upgrades. So I got to do 3 bike upgrades, and then I got to start working on the Tron
on a Zwift branded bike.
on a Zwift branded bike. So like I got level.
Oh, you have to do the
yuck.
mountain bike and the
So you got to
Zwift
do
ro-
like a Zwift TT bike and a Zwift road bike or something
Yeah.
stupid like that.
Yeah, I
Oh,
got
I
the
like
level
that.
the carbon bike or something like that.
I like
I'm
that they
rocking
don't
out.
make it easy. I like that.
You
Yeah.
got to ride a bunch of junk bikes
Yeah.
to get the Tron unlocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
final thing before we get into the my whoosh thing on Zwift. Do you know anyone that has done the 4th challenge? Hey, we have to talk about the 4th challenge and the additional speed gains for the new bike upgrades to go, hey, this is also what, because everyone's like the smart people. Well, I'm one of those smart people, hopefully. You do the 4th challenge while you're doing these other rides. So you get the double dip on the credit. But has anyone got is it the Aero socks? Is that the only thing you can get in the?
Lumo's got to be getting close. I remember watching his just in the last week watching his ride, and he was opening up that challenge to check his status, and he wasn't done with it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Well, we don't
want
have
to
any
say
data on that, so that's all new.
my
That's
gauge
fresh.
is like halfway, but I don't know if that's halfway to the first unlock or halfway to the last
Hmm.
unlock. I'm not even sure.
I'm at like 90% on the first one. I'm at like 220 hours or something, or
And what does that unlock?
I don't know if it's a saw. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not
There's
gonna
a
lie to
couple
you.
different socks, I think, or something.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple things here. I'll Google it.
Anvil socks. Perfect. All right. Let's get into my whoosh. So the teaser, which I've been
Reckless
seeing
speculation.
across the reckless speculation. Well, it's not reckless speculation that there is going to be something on Tuesday or Monday. Is it Monday
Big upgrade, yeah.
It's a big upgrade. We don't know what it is, so the reckless speculation comes after. Hey, they are doing an upgrade, and Brian White, our resident MyWoosh specialist, take it
And
away.
you do know some of it, right, Brian? There's some we don't know, but we know a few pieces.
I don't know anything, so I'm like an audience member.
Yeah, this is reckless speculation because nothing is confirmed. It's just kind of like little hints from people. It's a big tech upgrade, and there is something to do with the dynamics and physics.
That's good. I'm always for that.
They did confirm you can upload your own workouts now, right? Like that's a confirmed change.
Yes. It is, and man.
It's a substantial one. I think Holly posted it in our Discord, like the size of the upgrade across each platform.
Massive, yes.
Yeah,
anyone who does
yeah.
my whoosh is going to have to allow, I'm going to say a half hour.
Is this a delete the old stuff and upload a brand new version, or is this on top of? This is a download on top of the already installed download.
My whoosh HD is 20 gigabytes.
Yeah, 20 gig for the big one.
And Android mobile is 7 gig.
This is this substantial upgrade, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
on size wise.
Yeah.
But feature wise, hopefully too.
Yeah, and I do feel bad because I tried finding more concrete information. The workouts are being improved, like Casey had said, Holly had said that, and something with the dynamics and the physics, which I'm pretty okay with the way they are now.
Okay, so what do we want? Let's just reckless speculation. What do you want fixed?
Well, after talking to some people, I think for me a better Bluetooth. I have Bluetooth 4.2. I have issues, and they always seem to pop up during SRC for whatever unknown reason.
So under the hood, this is what you want.
I would like some better backwards compatibility. You know what I mean? Like broader. However, the magic works with Bluetooth, because it could be my system. It very well could be. I'm not that dumb. You know what I mean? Because I had the issue with Bike Terra, and that was the first time I ever had it anywhere else. But I am in the position to where I can upgrade my equipment. Some people may not be able to. Like they may have a laptop and they may be having these issues, and they may just get frustrated with my whoosh and quit. Well, I'm frustrated because it is during SRC, but I can spend the $40 and get a new thing. Maybe some people can't, or maybe not know how.
Well, and the struggle to that, Brian, too, though, is it's not like you're running 10-year-old potato junk, right? Like that's and that's what I am kind of seeing as a trend at my whoosh. If my whoosh works for you, it generally works pretty well and you don't have issues. But then there's these people that have these repeated problems that just things like this, right? These random things that keep popping up that they can't figure out. And it seems to be some sort of compatibility problem, right? That my whoosh has tighter boundaries, or they're supporting less different chipsets or things like that so hopefully that's part of, a little broader compatibility with different chips and things like that will help that, because we don't really seem to have that. Not to say people don't have those issues on other platforms, but you don't see it as widespread on Swift or on Ruby that you're hearing about people just consistently like just having bad connections, things just dork up and don't work.
What Casey is saying is you're being selfish. What we should really say is I can figure out the Bluetooth thing is I want either better like visuals of the avatars. I think that's one thing. right? Like
And
the
see,
pellet,
when
the
they
way the
see-
pellet, the way the pack moves around.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that when I was doing the nationals,
Right.
I was like, oh my goodness, this is like,
So if I'm saying like I don't know what tech means, like that's the thing. It's a big tech upgrade. So like, what does that mean? Does that mean the way
yeah, it's reckless
like
speculation.
behind the
Just,
scenes? Is this all like stuff that you're gonna look at and be like, well, this
well, what do
looks
you
the
want?
same as last
Okay,
week?
then what do you want for the community, Brian? Instead of just for you having your Quark not connect for Bluetooth or whatever you have power to max, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Forget
So,
that.
I'd
But
say
like, what do you
no.
want for the community? Like, hey, I do SRC every week or every other whatever.
I
and
honestly
the
would
community
like
is
to be
always
able
frustrated
to
with. Yeah, go ahead.
access my dual recording within my Whoosh. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Instead
that's
of
a good one.
having to-
That's a good one.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. That's
because
a good
it's a
request.
requirement for any premium event. Well, let's say I'm doing a ride on Tuesday and I notice, well, this is weird. I'm 3%. And then a ride on Wednesday is 3%. Okay. So instead of getting to Sunday Race Club and then be, oh, hey, you're annulled because you're 3%. Or whatever the number, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So being able to see that or them acknowledge you, hey, during this we saw your power difference, like give you a heads up, because I've been connecting my basically dual recording in game and they've been getting the files.
You mean like a warning after your ride? Like, hey,
Yeah.
we noticed, hey, after your ride, in the little prompt before you like upload it to Strava or whatever, it says, hey, we're seeing a discrepancy between these two things.
That's going back to the Indie Velo thing, because if I would have known I had an issue, I could have sorted it out instead of getting to Sunday Race Club where, that's a little more important than some random race on a.
And it could be as simple as them just providing you the statistics, right? That's the problem with the dual recording is it goes behind their wall and they never let it out. You never get to see it. So even if no one else can see it, if you can go to your own ride results,
Right, okay.
even within my Rouge, just to see like, oh, here's power curve 1, here's power curve 2. You can see the duels, or it's in the fit file like I think Indie Velo's doing, where you can load it into that website where you can anything like that, even if it's 2 different fit files, right? You got fit file A, fit file B, that you can put into a comparison tool.
Right.
I think that's a good one to request. My request for my Rouge,
Yeah.
one of the big things that has kept me from using them is being able to easily look at the events and know where the people are
Oh God,
ahead
Casey,
of time, right? Like I'm getting on, I'm gonna be ready to ride. Like it's 3:15. I want a 4:00 race. I go on my Rouge and I'm like, I just want to be able to look and see like there's 4 races at 4:00. This one has 5 people. This one has 8 people. This one has 12 people. Right? Like my Rouge.
You want to see
like
attendance.
You gotta
signups.
click in 30 places, to get a rider list, and the rider list doesn't even work half the time.
You got your phone with you, Casey? I want to see. I've never. This is the biggest thing about the Link app. If you have that Link app on your phone, open it up and look at the events.
The MyWhoosh link thing.
On my phone, when I look at the MyWhoosh Link app in the events, you scroll down through there. Like, all right, it's almost 9 p.m. Eastern time. You have 9, and then you have 9:15, then a 10 p.m., and then a 9:30. And then a 10:15, a 10:45, and then back to a 10. Like the times of the events are in order. So if you're scrolling through, they're out of order. They're close.
Yeah.
But like if I can ride it, say, oh hey, at 9:30 I can hop in a race. Well, it's not there. I don't see it. But for some reason it's down by the 10:15. Like what the hell's going on here? It just drives me nuts.
And you can look at this like right here, like it's just May 11th. Like May 11th win. What's the time?
Yeah.
May 11. It's a ride.
So
on May 11th.
stronger MyWhoosh link.
And and I click on it and it's at 8
getting
p.m.
mine
Okay,
going
so it
just
starts
to
in
look
10
at-
minutes.
Yeah.
Right. But I got to click on it to see the time. Like it
And
just
you
needs
have
a
no
time
idea
and a
if
number
there's
of
anyone
riders.
there.
Yeah. So that's one of my low-hanging fruit on my Rouge, right? Like Ruby, Zwift, I can very easily open their mobile app within 5 minutes. I can look between Zwift and Ruby and be like, okay, I've got these choice of 4 or 5 events.
Yeah.
This is how many people are signed up for them. Super easy. And that's what keeps me going back to those things, right? It's my Rouge. I would spend a week joining events with nobody to show up to get one good event. And Ruby or Zwift, I know ahead of time what to expect when I jump into them.
And another part for me is you click on a course. I've rode my whoosh enough now. I know California where all the turns go, and Japan. I know about 75 to 80% of it off the top of my head. But there is no information, and the maps are almost impossible to tell where things are to go. The Arabia
Yeah.
map is massive. It's so many intersections and stuff. There's a huge available to do what I love, is to ride around in Rome, but it's so difficult. I would love a better interface for the map, like where I rode in that game, the intersection, the reference points, and that when you end a ride, I would like more like different screenshots than the first 1 minute and 5 minute of
You
my
want
ride.
Zwift. That's what you want. You want the
Well,
Zwift recap.
No, if you're going to add screenshots, it's awesome, but like a screenshot 1 minute and 5 minute of the ride, what's the point? It's like almost the same screenshot. And then just I guess maybe more like Zwift, but Zwift isn't the only one, but just a more polished end of ride screen showing me more information and a better where I went in that ride.
Do they need dynamics overhaul? I don't ride it enough anymore to
I think
have
so.
a
I think
strong
they do.
opinion.
I think physics. Well, I'm always for better global physics, and I think that they really need to separate themselves from trying to be like Zwift, and that's what I want. I always want better global physics.
I am okay with the physics right now because it beforehand, if you got to 6 meters gap, you were an oh shit, I got to sprint to catch up to whoever's in front of me, okay? And I loved it because I was a breakaway. Like, you gave me 6 meters gap, I am gone unless you are working to catch me. Now it's a little bit different. But also, I do like it because it isn't as harsh on maybe someone who, they can't quite make the climb. They just barely get back on. That draft holds in there. You are able to draft, but then it also makes it harder because people can rest some. But I do like the latest update. I do wish the movement within the pack, like the washing machine side to side, all that will be fixed, and I'm sure that'll come together at some point. But
Do you think those play together, like visually seeing your avatar sort of do these weird things and all so you're riding, you're overcompensating, you're trying to not fall off the back, or you're shooting above and ahead,
I think,
or you're trying to just get a flow. Like we always talk about the flow
yeah,
of
personally,
cycling. My whoosh doesn't have that.
I think right now the flow is a little bit better. Visually, it's a little off, but like, I don't know. I feel my race today was relatively flat. I spent about 35 minutes, I think, before I made a dumb move that I didn't need to do, and it just wasted all my energy for the climb. But
from outside of racing, like how much free riding do you do? Can you just enjoy a free ride in my whoosh?
yeah, there's a few rides that I've done recently that I haven't streamed that I've got my whoosh and Zwift up, and then I'm watching my whoosh trying to make turns and stuff. But the biggest thing that like I have been enjoying Zwift lately are the Zwift plays where I can turn and stuff. I have not done that Swift, whatever the heck that thing was called, where the community.
Oh, the hack.
Yeah, the hack, the Zwift plays. I haven't done it yet. I need to, because I think that would open my enjoyment up. Because all I have to do is move my left thumb to turn in Zwift. Now in my whoosh, I gotta go over, click the box. They did make the box bigger, where you don't have to hit like some small little corner, but there's not enough people on my whoosh to truly get a feel of how riding is outside of basically just a solo ride for me.
That's the struggle, right? It's hard to get a good pack going. It's hard to get a feel for it because it's hard to find groups because you can't see who's in group ride. So it kind of that whole I was always joining the age group race on Fridays that's now moved to Bike Terra,
Yeah,
but
that's what
my whoosh is putting a new one on, right? So I might try maybe one of the my whoosh age groups races not on Friday. On Friday, I'm going to do James's race because
The Bike Terra. This
out of
leads into the
respect
Bike
for
Terra.
James and Matt and Bike Terra and kind of what's gone on there, like their competing times, I'm giving my time to James's
See,
race.
Bike
every
Terra
week.
has flow to me. Like it has a flow where I do a free ride, and I'm even. These are with bots. Even I know I can kind of like get on a wheel or sort of like lead and pull a bot behind me or even ride with somebody. And then you do like a group ride, like I've done. It was like a couple weeks ago, and I can sort of rotate with somebody. I had a glitch out. I closed a window and got dropped, but I was doing a little rotation with Matt and somebody else, I think. And you can just jump in and find somebody to sort of like group up with, whether it's a bot or not. In my whoosh, I just never got that, even with their bots.
Yeah. We had so much fun on the race on Friday, that age group race. It was me and Felty and is it Wout Kloss?
Yeah,
Who
Walter
puts
Claus,
on
yeah,
some
Wout
other,
Claus,
yeah. So
he's an old RGT. There you go, RGT
yeah,
carryover.
there was, I think we had about 15 starters. Lee joined us. Lee Zavaris was in there with us. We started with probably 10, 12 made the pack. We were messing around. Felty was having some struggles with some virtual shifting. He was doing like a hack virtual shifting, it seemed
So he explained it to me. It's a Elite Justo, because Elite hasn't done their firmware to support Bike Terra's virtual shifting, and it might be a Zwift exclusivity thing right now where they can't open it up. That's reckless speculation. We don't know if it's an Elite thing, or they just haven't updated the Justo, which is like the kicker, like the top of the line for the Elite trainer, smart trainer. So he's having a little hiccups here and there, but overall he always enjoys Mike Terra. He does workouts. He does everything in there.
He was struggling because he couldn't find the right rhythm, because
there's a
took
lag.
him a little bit to get
it
took him a little while on the gear shifts, but so Felty was kind of pulling off the front a little bit in the group, and then like I would bridge to him, Walter would follow me. We were kind of messing around. Lee full sent it once. Lee had like a 10-12 second gap. But we had a ton of fun doing that. It was a pretty flat race, but there was one little bump that we kind of kicked on, and it ended up being me, Felty and Walter got off the front, and we did full 3-man TT. Like we all rotated. We all did our share of work. I probably did the least amount of work, but I knew they were both a lot stronger than me, but I would pull through every time. But they'd be pulling for 90 seconds and I'd be pulling for 30 or 45. I'm like, this is all I got. But we did that till about 2 miles to go. Like we pulled the gap the whole time. But it was a ton of fun, getting that rotation going in there. So
that's good. They have a group ride. So if people want to try Bike Terra for free, it's biketerra.com, and they do this group ride on, what time is it? Friday.
That one,
like
the age group
Pacific?
race is it's about 1 o'clock for me Central Time, Chicago time. So 2 o'clock Eastern. And then they also
I saw there was like
have
10 or 11 people. There was a bunch of people.
We had 15 start.
15,
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then they've also what are they doing, like the Bike Terra Classics or something? I think it's Tuesdays.
There's it's the
that I'm
Giro,
seeing
I
that
think,
one.
right now. Yeah, Bike Terra.
Yeah.
It's on Tuesdays, I think, at 10:30.
And I think that might be Wouter doing that one.
Yeah, he does that one as well.
So if you can get into one of those Bike Terra events, they're fun. If you can get 10, 15 people in, the draft is fun in Bike Terra. I don't know what it is about it. The draft is so fun in there. Because it's when you get the blob, it is so strong.
Yeah.
But when it was just the three of us, it was an art to
which
stay
is
rolling,
what it's like, which is more simulation, which is what I enjoy.
Right. What it should be. Yeah.
All right. We're at the top of the hour. Anything else? I think we're good here. Questions from the chat? I don't even look at chat.
No, chat's been quiet tonight.
All right. It's Mother's Day, so.
It is. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. And one other thing, just a little bit of the streaming. I don't think any of us are doing it. Maybe we are. Kilometers for Kiddos is going on right now.
Oh, yes.
Are you guys out there streaming on Twitch and that
actually,
or whatever?
Right now,
Okay.
if I've read the message correctly, Lumo is finishing the marathon. So
Okay.
Lumo right now will be finishing up on the marathon. If I read General
Okay.
Elost's last message correctly,
Okay.
And then I
because
think
they changed it up a good bit from the years past to this year. Um,
yeah.
and
So
I
they
think,
were handing it over all weekend, right? From person to person to person.
yeah,
I think their fundraising might still be open for a little bit. So, but shout out to everybody who puts that together. And I know General puts a ton of time into that. He has for a few years.
yeah.
Um, they've raised a ton of money for St. Jude. So,
Yeah, this is the final block going on right now. So they changed it up from years past. It used to be more toward around Memorial Day, and now it's.
mhm.
I've noticed the kilometers for, or well, like a St. Jude fundraising thing. That's what it's for. Is
Yeah.
they've raised, I think it was over $1 million in total from all the fundraising.
Yeah, I
Congratulations.
think the May, yeah, it's the combined thing. Yeah. But
Yeah,
they're doing awesome things. Yeah, I used to do a St. Jude run here locally, and like our run every year would raise 300,000 or 400,000. It was pretty cool.
yeah, that's amazing.
Right on. Let's get out of here. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Good show.
Thanks.
Lee's going to be, he's traveling back, so he should be here next week. We should be here next week. We don't know yet. We'll talk during the week, but on that note, everybody. Here,
See
wave
ya.
goodbye. A virtual wave. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.